There is one decision you can make right now that will change the way everyone around you perceives you, permanently. This is not a trick, not a clever tactic for the gullible. This is a shift in the very way you move through the world, a fundamental recalibration of how your presence is understood. Machiavelli recognized it centuries ago. The rulers who grasped it carved their names into history. Those who ignored it faded into obscurity. Most men spend their lives wondering why their voices are drowned out, why their opinions are overlooked, why they pass through rooms like ghosts while others take their place. They blame luck, they blame circumstance, they blame those around them, but they rarely pause to look inward. You are here because something inside you already suspects the truth. The problem was never them. The problem was the signal you've been broadcasting unknowingly, every gesture, every hesitation, every unspoken reaction. Today, that signal ends. What replaces it will force people to pause before they speak to you. It will make them weigh their words. It will make them approach you differently, not temporarily, but permanently. Most people live under a comforting illusion. Let me expose it. There is a hidden sickness running through men everywhere, a quiet, gnawing hunger for approval. Observe closely, and you will see it in every interaction. Men laughing at jokes that hold no humor, men nodding in agreement with ideas they secretly detest, men lowering their voices, softening their stance, bending themselves invisibly, every single day, just to fit in, to be liked, to avoid the sharp sting of disapproval. This is the delusion that if you make yourself agreeable enough, pleasant enough, accommodating enough, the world will grant you respect. It will not. The world reserves respect for those who need nothing from it, who are not tethered to its approval. The world uses the rest, walks over them, and forgets them entirely. Machiavelli witnessed this in the courts of Renaissance Italy, carved into the lives of men in blood and betrayal. Those who begged for favor were abandoned the moment they ceased to serve. Those who required nothing from the crowd, who stood apart and unmoved, those were the men who amassed real power. From childhood, you were trained to seek validation. Parents, teachers, society, each rewarded compliance, obedience, likability. Every reward was a thread in the web of control. The moment you anchor your feelings to others' approval, you hand them dominion over your mind. You become a marionette, each person around you holding a string, often without knowing they are pulling, yet pull they do. And you dance. Today, you sever every single one of those strings. Every expectation, every subtle pressure, every unspoken command that has been wired into you since childhood, cut it. Claim your emotional sovereignty. Here is the Machiavellian truth about perception. Machiavelli wrote something that is widely misunderstood. Everyone sees what you project, but very few experience what you actually are. Let that sink in. This is not petty deception. It is comprehension of the game being played at every moment, whether you engage consciously or not. Every person you meet evaluates you instantly. They read your posture, the steadiness of your gaze, the tone of your voice, the way you handle pressure, the rhythm of your breathing. They are not perceiving you, they are reading the image you broadcast. Every glance, every hesitation, every subtle shift in your expression sends information. The divide between the powerful and the powerless lies here. The powerful recognize this and deliberately control it. The powerless allow it to form by chance and then wonder why life treats them harshly. You are not judged by your intentions, by your hidden potential, or by your private virtues. You are judged by the impression you leave on the world. This is cold, uncomfortable, unavoidable. A man who moves with quiet certainty will be assumed competent before he speaks. A man who fidgets, who seeks validation, who trembles under scrutiny, will be assumed weak before he utters a word. Fairness has nothing to do with it. The courtiers of Renaissance Italy understood instinctively that every gesture, every glance, every word, every pause was part of the currency of perception. You can be the most capable in the room and still be dismissed if your presence radiates doubt. You can be mediocre in skill and still command respect if your posture, your voice, your quiet authority signals mastery. Control your projection, and you control your destiny. The shift begins with one thing. Emotional independence. This single transformation rewires everything. Internalize this. The praise of others does not lift you. Their criticism does not cut you. Their approval means nothing. Their disapproval means nothing. You are the unmoved center. Most men are thermometers, their mood swinging with the atmosphere around them. Someone smiles at them, they feel pleasure. Someone frowns, they shrink. Their emotional world is dictated entirely by external forces. This is slavery disguised as social life. The man who wields true power is a thermostat. He sets the climate. He does not ask the world for permission to feel steady. He does not seek validation. His emotions are born within and remain constant regardless of what the world projects onto him. This is not arrogance. Arrogance is loud, desperate, obvious. What I describe is quiet, unshakable solidity. A man who can endure insult without flinching, and praise without inflating, a man whose sense of self was never up for debate, is untouchable. He receives criticism and observes it like a spectator at a game, noting the strategy of his opponent without reacting. He receives praise and lets it fall around him like rain over stone. He is a center that cannot be moved. Something strange begins to occur when you reach this state. People sense it. They cannot articulate it, but they feel it deep in their instincts. You become harder to manipulate, harder to rattle, harder to sway. Humans instinctively respect what resists influence. This is your foundation. Build everything else on top of it. Every interaction, every test, every subtle attempt to provoke you now becomes a measure of their own restraint. The world begins to bend around the presence you cultivate. And this is only the beginning of the transformation. People are always observing you, constantly measuring, probing, testing, whether they realize it or not. This is not malice, it is human nature. We are wired to gauge the hierarchy in every room we enter, to understand who yields, who resists, and who commands. These tests are subtle, almost invisible, and most men never recognize them. The colleague who cracks a half-mocking joke at your expense while others watch, that is a test. The friend who cancels plans at the last moment with a flimsy excuse, that is a test. The stranger who holds your gaze just a fraction too long, daring you to react, that is a test. Every interaction sends a signal, and your response broadcasts your boundaries, your strength, your vulnerability. Most men fail these trials without ever knowing they occurred. They laugh at the hollow joke to seem agreeable, they accept weak excuses to avoid confrontation, they yield the floor in conversation to keep the peace, they avert their eyes to escape discomfort. Each act, each evasion, communicates a truth far deeper than words. You can be moved, you can be overlooked, you can be manipulated. That message travels beneath awareness, embedding itself in the minds of those around you. The man who understands Machiavellian strategy reads these probes with precision. He does not react with anger, with defensiveness, with haste. That is weakness, a signal to be exploited. He responds with measured calm, a quiet pause, a steady gaze, a refusal to validate falsehoods with laughter. He allows the test to pass without disruption, and in doing so, the tester recalibrates. Permanently. Most men cannot grasp the potency of silence. They fill every pause with words, with explanations, with justifications, anxious to be understood or liked. This is weakness leaking out through the mouth. The powerful, the observant, have always known that silence is a weapon sharper than any sword. When you speak less, you reveal less. When you reveal less, you become unreadable. When you are unreadable, you cannot be controlled. In the courts of Renaissance Italy, the most dangerous men were not the ones delivering grand speeches, but the ones seated quietly, watching, noting, saying almost nothing. Their silence carved a void that others rushed to occupy, and in that rush, those others revealed themselves entirely. Let your quiet be your strategy. When someone asks a loaded question designed to trap or provoke, resist the urge to fill the space. Pause. Stretch the silence. Let them feel it, let them squirm in the vacuum you create. That discomfort is your authority. When someone attempts to anger or provoke you, do not strike back immediately. Let the silence linger. A blink, a subtle tilt of the head, nothing more. This non-reaction communicates something far deeper than words. Your energy is not theirs to command, your mind is not theirs to disrupt. Silence also magnifies your voice when you choose to speak. The man who speaks constantly becomes like common coin, abundant, cheap, unnoticed. The man who speaks rarely, deliberately, becomes gold. Scarce, precious, listened to. Let others wonder, let them question, let them puzzle over your thoughts. Mystery is a form of power. Most men never grasp that the world around them has been trained to behave a certain way toward them. Not through formal instruction, but through repeated interactions, day after day, year after year. Every time you accepted disrespect without consequence, you taught them disrespect was acceptable. Every time you placed their needs above your own without reciprocity, you taught them your priorities were secondary. Every emotional reaction, every flare of anger, every flinch under pressure trained them that they had power over your internal state. These patterns feel permanent, but they are not. They are habits, illusions that can be dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up. The moment you begin cultivating true emotional independence, resistance will emerge. The people around you will push, they will test harder, they will attempt to draw you back into the old patterns. Not because they are evil, but because humans instinctively resist change. They knew your buttons, they knew your responses, they knew how to bend you. Your transformation disrupts that model, and friction will follow. Expect it. Some will accuse you of being cold, distant, different. Good. That is proof that you are succeeding. Do not explain yourself. Do not seek their understanding or validation. That is the trap they hope you will fall into. Remain consistent. Hold your ground day after day, week after week, month after month. Eventually, your presence will compel them to recalibrate. They will adjust their expectations. They will treat you according to the new standard you have established. Some relationships will fracture. Some people were in your life solely because you were convenient, because you were malleable, because you were easy to move. When you stop being pliable, they will drift away. Let them. Their departure is not loss. It is purification. The people who remain will engage with the real you, with respect, with genuine regard, not out of habit or convenience. You are not losing people, you are upgrading your social environment, boundary by boundary, standard by standard. There is a principle in human psychology so fundamental that once seen, it cannot be unseen. We assign value according to scarcity. What is rare, precious, desired? What is abundant, taken for granted, overlooked? This applies to possessions, opportunities, and above all, people. Observe your own behavior. How do you respond to those who are always available, always accommodating, always at your beck and call? You invest little attention, little care, little reverence. Now consider the opposite. How do you respond to that which is difficult to access, which requires effort, which is selective in what it grants? Your focus sharpens. Your respect deepens. Your energy is spent carefully. This is not morality. It is biology, psychology, an unyielding reality. The masters of influence, from Machiavelli's era to the modern boardroom, have weaponized this truth. Availability, constant and unbound, signals low value. Selective attention, deliberate engagement, scarcity, these signal power. Your time is a finite resource. How you distribute it communicates your worth without a single word. Consider how you treat what is always at your disposal. The air that fills your lungs. The water flowing from the faucet. The friend who answers instantly every time you call. You take these for granted, not from ingratitude, but because your mind conserves focus for what is rare, what is limited, what requires effort to obtain. Now shift your attention to what is scarce. A possession you have hunted for years. An opportunity that may never present itself again. A person whose presence cannot be predicted or commanded. Your focus sharpens. Your effort intensifies. Respect rises automatically, as if your mind cannot help but recognize value where it is not freely handed out. This is not a flaw. This is human design. And history's dark psychologists knew how to weaponize this truth. When you are always available, you train others to see you as low value. Every instant reply signals your time has no competing demands. Every immediate yes signals a life with no priorities beyond theirs. Every open disclosure leaves nothing mysterious. Curiosity dies. Interest evaporates. The Machiavellian response is not absence for the sake of manipulation. It is strategic scarcity. A life so full, so dense, that your presence cannot be commanded, only earned. This is not a game of deception. It is a construction of depth that cannot be exhausted in a single conversation, layers that unfold slowly over time. When people sense that your attention must be sought, they automatically assign it greater value. When your focus is selective, they treasure it when granted. When they perceive that your options are abundant, they expend effort to remain relevant. This is not coldness. It is life centered on your own axis, not orbiting others. The man who sacrifices everything for everyone becomes invisible furniture, present, but overlooked. The man whose life exerts its own gravitational pull becomes a destination. Others bend schedules to meet him. They notice when he is absent. His absence carries weight. Stop flooding the world with yourself. Scarcity is not cruelty. Scarcity is clarity. It tells everyone. My time is finite. My attention is precious. Both must be earned. Picture the man you are becoming. He enters a room and the air subtly shifts. No grand announcement, no forced display of dominance, yet the atmosphere bends to his presence. People feel it. They sense a weight, magnetic yet invisible. He does not seek the spotlight, and yet attention finds him naturally. He does not speak first, but when he does, silence falls, not from fear but from instinctive acknowledgement. This is not shallow charisma. It is presence born from total internal security. He has nothing to prove because he has already proven everything to the only judge that matters, himself. He is untouchable, not because he has raised walls, but because he has anchored his foundation so deep that nothing can move him. Insults fall at his feet like pebbles on rock. He may notice, perhaps even find them mildly curious, but they cannot penetrate. No wound exists waiting for salt. Praise flows over him like rain on stone. He may acknowledge it with a nod, but it cannot inflate him. His sense of self was never dependent on external approval, thus, approval cannot alter him. He cannot be baited. He does not react out of habit or fear. A raised voice meets silence. A provocation meets stillness. Attempts at manipulation through guilt, shame, or charm are observed with detached clarity, like watching a child fumble with a lock. He is not cruel. He does not mock. He simply does not yield. This incapacitates manipulators. The strategies that ensnare everyone else shatter against him like glass striking iron. Over time, something remarkable occurs. People begin to treat him differently without conscious thought. Words are chosen more carefully in his presence. His time is respected without reminders. Approval is sought, but with the understanding that it will not be given lightly. Conversations about him carry tones reserved for those who command authentic respect. This is not fear, though fear may lurk faintly. It is recognition. Something primal in the brain registers a man who has mastered himself. Mastery over oneself, the rarest possession in the world, renders him almost untouchable, almost sacred in the eyes of those around him. The lessons here are simple but brutal. Scarcity increases value. Silence sharpens influence. Emotional independence fortifies presence. People will test, probe, resist, and attempt to pull you back to the old version of yourself. Meet them with stillness, with consistency, with imperviousness. This is not just strategy. It is self-sovereignty. Each pause, each selective engagement, each unshakable reaction is a signal carved into the perception of everyone who encounters you. Over time, they cannot treat you the same way again. You are no longer the man they expected. You have become the man they respect. Most people move through life like ships without rudders, tossed by every wave, reactive, emotional, predictable, easy to sway. Their moods push and pull them, bending them to the desires and judgments of everyone around them. The man who has mastered himself rises above like a lighthouse piercing a storm, steady, immovable, a reference point that others measure themselves against without realizing. In his presence, people adjust their behavior subtly, aligning themselves to the gravity he radiates. You are closer to this than you imagine. Every principle you have absorbed tonight is a stone in the foundation of your inner fortress. Every test you meet from this moment onward strengthens your frame. Every moment of silent observation adds weight to your presence. The untouchable man is not born, he is forged, decision by decision, action by action, day by day. You are under construction. Keep building. And now, the command that matters most. You have followed this journey because something inside you recognized a truth it has long known but never been given permission to embrace. This is that permission. But permission alone is powerless. Knowledge without action is entertainment, nothing more. If you do not act differently, everything you have absorbed tonight will dissolve into memory within 48 hours. Action begins now. Tomorrow, you will encounter a moment where the old version of yourself would have sought approval. You will feel the pull, the familiar urge to explain, to soften your stance, to laugh at things you do not find amusing, to agree with ideas you do not truly believe, to avert your gaze, to fill the silence with anxious words. When that moment arrives, you will do none of these things. You will maintain your ground. You will let the silence expand. Your gaze will remain unwavering. You will feel the discomfort fully, and you will not flinch. That single act is your initiation. Listening is theory, execution is transformation. One moment of practiced emotional independence will teach your nervous system more than 100 hours of reasoning ever could. From that moment, you will repeat, and then repeat again, until the man I describe becomes indistinguishable from the reflection in your mirror. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about stripping away the layers the world has imposed upon you, layers designed to make you malleable, compliant, and weak. Approval seeking was implanted. Conflict avoidance was trained. Emotional reactivity was programmed. None of it was your original nature. You are reclaiming something primal, ancient, and raw, the force that Machiavelli observed in the princes who carved empires from nothing, men who commanded legacies with icy clarity. A man who knows his worth and refuses to barter it downward for anyone. The world will not celebrate your transformation. Expect resistance. Expect confusion. Some will resent the new you because you can no longer be used. That resentment is the toll of freedom, and it must be paid willingly. With every person who drifts away, 10 more will gravitate toward your presence. Quantity gives way to quality. Tolerance is replaced with respect. You will finally understand what it means to move through life as a man who cannot be shaken, whose internal weight dictates the atmosphere around him. I have handed you the blueprint. The principles. The path that separates the remembered from the forgotten. What you do with them is entirely your choice. But know this, the man you are tonight is not the man you must be tomorrow. Change is available in this very moment, not next week, not when conditions feel perfect, not when you feel ready. If this message has stirred something within you, declare it. Drop a comment below with these words. I am the unmoved center. That phrase is your anchor. Every time the old patterns attempt to pull you back, repeat it mentally. Let it remind you of the man you are choosing to become. Let it link you to every other man watching who has made the same declaration. You are not alone in this transformation. You are part of a silent army reclaiming power, one held boundary at a time. If this video delivered value to you, show it by hitting the like button. It costs nothing, yet signals the algorithm to spread this message to men who need it most. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We are building a repository of knowledge the mainstream will never teach. Activate notifications so you never miss a new drop. The game continues. Your evolution continues. And I will meet you in the next one. Stay solid. Stay sharp. Stay untouchable.